USA Ultimate proudly presents the 2017 U.S. Open Ultimate Championships. The National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota, the setting for our second championship bout. It's the women's final. Colombia Revolution getting set to take on Denver Molly Brown. Revolution shocked a lot of folks yesterday as they dismantled Seattle Riot 15-10 to punch their ticket into the finals, while Molly Brown won a hard-fought battle against San Francisco Fury. Molly Brown Revolution moments away from the championship. Sean Kinney alongside Evan Lepler. Great to have you with us. Every year, Evan, it seems like a team captures the attention of everybody at the U.S. Open. This year, it is the ladies from Colombia matched up against a Molly Brown team that's equally as hungry to make a statement for their program.
It's a really cool moment right now in women's ultimate because we're on the verge of a landmark achievement for one of these programs. We don't know yet who it's going to be. It is special for both to be in the finals, but for Revolution, the women from Medellin, Colombia, they have made an incredible statement with wins over Brute and Riot already. Molly Brown, though, they're trying to reach the top step of the tournament like this. They've never done that before. And
Molly Brown has not lost so far here in Minnesota. Let's meet the Colombia Revolution squad. Mauricio Moore has done a fantastic job. You talk about different parts of the world that are building momentum in this sport. Colombia headlines that list.
And they are not the foreign invaders. Their energy is infectious. They have made so many fans this weekend and over the past couple of years with their performances and style in London and in Poland, and they've got the great players to do it. We met the Cardenas twins yesterday, the 18-year-old phenoms, but Gina Cartagena, she's the division leader in assists. She's incredibly athletic. She's got amazing disc skills. At 26 years of age, she's just now entering her prime, and she's been playing Ultimate, Sean, for 11 years. This reaction after the deflection yesterday was simply unreal.
You talk to everybody around the Rocky Mountain area, and they talk about a fresh mindset this year for Denver Molly Brown, and they have certainly showed their muscle here this week in Minnesota. Joe Durst, the head coach, and some tremendous captains led by Claire Chastain. They have star power. Now the question is, can they put it all together?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they try to contain the quickness that Revolution has. That's what Riot really struggled with yesterday. Jessie Schaffner is going to get the defensive task of chasing around Gina Cartagena. But last night, perhaps an underrated downfield threat really came to play. Sam Pelletier, when she was in college at the University of Delaware, she was one of those players that kind of had to do everything. She would get the disc and she would chuck it. She's been in the Rocky Mountains for a few years now, and she's finally starting to discover her role. That great sky in the first half was important, but this catch from Schaffner, a break to take a 12-10 lead in the second half, really helped Molly Brown put the game away. They could use another big game from her today if they hope to win the U.S. Open title.
Star power both sides, the international flair from Colombia. The stage is set. The opening poll of the women's final coming your way next.
The U.S. Open Ultimate Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar. Find the official disc of USA Ultimate at more than 1,900 U.S. retail locations.
That's been their motto all week here in Minneapolis. Have fun, Mauricio Moore. Having some fun with his Revolution squad just moments ago as they get ready for the opening poll, as they try to come to the States and come away with the U.S. Open title. 6 of those 7 players right there were part of the silver medal squad in the recent World Games for Colombia in the mixed division. So that's the type of talent they have, with Mauricio Moore leading the way as the coach. The other side for Denver Molly Brown, Minor coming off that big game yesterday in the semifinals. Cousin, Picaithley, Lori, Chastain, Applegate, and Bacher. Elizabeth Mosquera getting ready to have the opening poll for Revolution. What are some early trends we're going to be looking for here, Evan? If you're Molly Brown, preparing for this burst of energy they're going to see from Revolution.
Well, it'll be interesting to see when Molly Brown is on defense how they handle the Revolution quickness. I'm also curious to see what kind of nerves, if any, we see from Revolution. I asked Mauricio Moore, do you expect your team to be nervous? He said, yeah, but good nervous. You know, they're excited, they're ready to compete.
Already inside the red zone, Megan Cousins looking for that backhand. Tight mark by Columbia. Now a back cut there by Applegate. Applegate sends it to the end zone. And an impressive hold to start the festivities as Liza Minor picks up where she left off yesterday.
Well said. Very well said, because she was a dominant downfield force yesterday, Liza Minor. Her first really big tournament with Molly Brown after playing with Madison Heist for many years. I mean, that Applegate to Minor connection was a huge reason why Molly Brown was able to dispatch San Francisco Fury last night. You saw Claire Chastain directing traffic, encouraging Cousins to look for the dump. Chastain didn't even want to cut for Megan Cousins there. And that's important leadership. And even when she doesn't have the disc, Chastain still the field general out on the field.
Minor had 4 goals, 2 assists in the semifinal win yesterday. Paige Applegate gets the help there to get Molly Brown on the board on their first possession. This has been a real confident approach to the start of this Triple Crown tour by Denver Molly Brown. Loaded with talent, and maybe loaded with confidence that they can take care of business here against this Revolution team.
Yeah, they're in a really good mental space right now. I mean, they've played well. You play well and you gain confidence. I did ask Joe Durst, what do you have to do today to replicate your performance from earlier in the tournament? These two teams met first thing Friday morning, a 15-12 Molly Brown win, and he said it's not about replicating anything. This Revolution team has improved more than anyone else as the tournament has gone along. He said this is going to be a completely different game.
Spina had it momentarily. One key player that's back in this Revolution lineup is number 37. That's Maddie Frye. She was not out there yesterday in the semifinal win. 17 goals so far for Frye, who just made that tumbling catch. So a big addition back healthy in this arsenal of weapons for Colombia.
Yeah, that's important to have her back. I don't think we did a good enough job yesterday mentioning how important she was and how impressive it was that her teammates stepped up around her and they still took care of business in such dominant fashion against Riot.
Ferrero, marked tightly by Chin, zips it to the end zone for the score. Our spotlight player, Cartagena, strikes early for Colombia.
There are some veterans on this Revolution team, but even the young players play with a poise that defies their young age. You know, is Ferrero the #1 handler on this team? No. And yet, they have developed the depth where they don't have to just rely on Valeria Cardenas or Manuela Cardenas or Elena Torres. Cartagena has been much more of a distributor than a goal scorer throughout the week. She's obviously done both, but good start for Revolution. Back-to-back offensive holds without a turnover for each team.
For the most part, this is a very young Colombia Revolution squad. As you see what they did in pool play, they were able to sneak into the semifinals. They go 3-2, but I think the game that caught everybody's attention was their win against Brute Squad. They beat the defending champs 14-11. Then yesterday, what they were able to do was Seattle Riot. Not many have done when you look back over the past 3-4 seasons.
I mean, to beat Brute Squad the way they did, to beat Riot the way they did. Also got wins against Traffic and Showdown. Both of those wins were just by 2. The win over Riot was Revolution's biggest win of the tournament in terms of margin of victory.
Swing it over to Liza Minor. Minor already with a goal. Comes right back to the near side to Paige Applegate. Applegate gets it to Chastain. Claire Chastain zips it back into the center to Applegate. Look at that tight mark by Colombia as they work. Trying to pressuring that disc. Chastain makes a tough catch, and here comes Caithley with the diving snare. Caithley with a couple of options, resetting, waiting for the stack. Now that high stall count, able to pop it free, but a pick was called.
The emergence of Paige Applegate for Molly Brown is giving them so much flexibility on their offense, allowing Claire Chastain to start the point downfield and use her athleticism to help initiate the flow. And Chastain, who's blown so many goals in her ultimate career, now can be more of an athletic receiver with lethal throws because Applegate has stepped up.
Great catch in traffic by Caithley to keep it alive, and then Caithley with the soft touch, the right hand of Chastain stretching out. And Molly Brown goes up 2-1, a pair of holds early for Denver. Now remember, we saw Riot get out to a fairly good start against this Revolution team yesterday. Seattle led early 3-1.
And at that point, we thought, yikes, maybe Revolution's not ready for this. Of course, that was a foolish thought with the way they performed down the stretch. Molly Brown still undefeated in the tournament, the only women's team that's still perfect. And at this 2017 U.S. Open, Denver Molly Brown is the only team in any division that's still perfect, because champion Seattle Sockeye in the men's division lost a game. Both of the mixed finalists lost a game in pool play. So Denver Molly Brown in rare air right now. And I'm not sure anybody, if you took the 36 teams in all three divisions and you said pick one that's not going to lose a game, you probably would have chose Revolver first. Well, obviously they've lost twice. Maybe next you would have chose Brute Squad. They've lost several times. It's wide open across the sport, but Molly Brown has played phenomenally.
Tahania doesn't have it long. You see the diving grab by Ospina. Ospina working along the sideline. And just like that, you see Colombia in striking distance of another score just outside the end zone. This is Tahania looking and striking. And both offenses looking sharp early in this game. Ferrero has an assist. Now she gets the goal. And we're tied at 2 apiece.
Awesome offense from both teams. Valeria Cardenas, she's the type of thrower that with her skills could want to shoot for the end zone every time. But she stays within the system, sets up Cartagena, and then Ferrero just beats her defender up the line. Cartagena's throw right on target. I believe that was Sally Lambert defending, and one of the top defenders in the women's division, 5'10", great reach. Ferrero burned her. Good to see Mauricio Moore back in his trademark hat.
Yeah, he broke out the normal ball cap yesterday. What was up with that? They brought him luck, so I thought he might come back with it. Of course, I don't think this team needs too much luck.
He has a look, he has a style, almost always with a smile on his face. Started playing Ultimate in his mid-20s, made a commitment to coaching women's Ultimate. And he said after the game yesterday, he hasn't been building up for this tournament for a couple of years. He's been building up for this tournament since 2004. It's been more than a decade with the goal of battling for a world championship. And next year in Cincinnati, WUCC is really what they're going for. There's a foul called. It was Montagna that was knocked down by Caithley. Doesn't appear like there was any contest.
You talk about building for the 2018 Worlds. This is a team that, despite the youth, they have a number of players who have been with this particular club for double-digit years. You're talking 21, 22, 23-year-olds. Been playing since 10, 11, 12.
They start them early.
Minor surveying her options, and a pass a bit behind the intended target. Tried to sneak it through to Applegate, and the game's first turnover. Let's see if Revolution can take advantage. They're not going to waste any time. The huck downfield. Minor goes up and tips it away at the last second as bodies play sprawled all over the field.
Like bowling pins, they tumble over. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And from her backside, Montagna could not make the catch. We'll see if they call a foul. It appears it was retracted. They'll play on.
Two teams exchange turnovers, and it will be back in possession of Molly Brown as Applegate takes her time, resets the attack. Minor patrolling the center of the field, and a bad throw by Applegate, just too far out in front of Cousins. And Columbia gets it right back in prime real estate. Rojas, Cartagena. He takes a shot toward the end zone and has a wide open teammate for the score. Columbia with their first lead, 3-2. That was Ricate with the score for Revolution. Check that, it's Montagna. The 3 and the 9. Boy, I stayed up all night, Evan, ready for these killer numbers.
Wow, what a sequence. You know, Applegate with the unforced error, and then Cartagena just rifling it past all of the traffic, throwing it with authority to Jimena Montagna. And that's really the first big haymaker of a punch in this game, and it's thrown by the women from Medellin.
And it's ironic, we were talking about the experience on this team. A lot of these players, 8, 9, 10 more years with this particular program. Not the case with Montagna. This is her first year playing with Revolution, the 25-year-old.
Nice pickup.
Yeah, real solid pickup. See what Cartagena has been able to do distributing the disc over the last few days. 34 helpers for Coach Mauricio Moore and a 3-2 Columbia lead.
Important response here for Molly Brown. Look at that pull. About 86 yards to the back corner of the end zone. And you see how they hustle down. I mean, women, men, everybody can learn from what this Colombian team does on the field.
Chastain with space. Minor finds that opening. Minor comes back into the center of the field with Lori. Lori being forced to the forehand, looking to dump it off to Applegate. Applegate looking for a cut from Chastain, and she zips that back in. Beautifully done into the end zone for the score. It's Minor again, her second. And Molly Brown responds. Good-looking drive that covered about 90+ yards after that huge pull.
Yeah, absolutely. An important response. 5 turnover-free points out of the first 6. And you see the luxury of using Claire Chastain downfield. I mean, so heavily involved in this possession. Minor gets it to Lori. Look downfield, 3-4 seconds. Where's my reset? Paige Applegate. But Caithley's not there. But directing traffic, Chastain will emerge from the stack. And then Minor with excellent timing for the strike. Claire Chastain was a high school lacrosse player. And she didn't really take ultimate seriously before she started playing. And then went to UNC Wilmington. Claire Chastain said she never thought she would find another team that had as much fun, that cared about each other as much as her high school lacrosse team. I think it was a point of, I don't know if frustration is the right word, but sadness as she left for college. She thought she was losing that team dynamic. She found it with UNCW Seaweed, and I think she continues to bring her infectious energy to Ultimate in the Rocky Mountains. She coaches University of Colorado women all the way to the semis this year, and great player as well.
Cartagena thought about letting her fly, instead settles underneath. 3-3 entertaining first half of the women's final. Along the near side, tightrope in the sideline. Cartagena, it looks like a pick was called downfield.
There's a pick call. Is that how high you are?
Here's some of the dialogue from Jessie Schaffner. Exciting addition this year for Molly Brown, along with Miner and Leathers.
It's a tough grab there from Valeria.
A fake, and now a shot, and then a score for Colombia.
How about Elena Torres? 38 years old, still has the athleticism to always get open as a reset, and her throws are just on point. And you see Ferrero set up that cut, forcing her defender to bite on the under. Melissa Devlin respected it and then got burned. And Torres, she's made that throw maybe 100,000 times.
To see what the dynamic is. You mentioned with Torres at 38 years old. You have the Cardenas twins at just 18.
It's wild, isn't it?
The grandmother of the squad, right?
She probably would prefer mother of the squad than grandmother of the squad.
We're talking 20-year difference here, Evan. Come on. Torres with the assists, 16 assists this weekend for Alejandra. Columbia Revolution, to no surprise, unfazed by the spotlight of this championship.
Yeah, they've done it on big stages before. I mean, I remember being in London at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships last year. And I think we anticipated a USA-Japan women's final. And Colombia just had other ideas. They played amazingly against the Japanese women that frankly looked a little crisper throughout most of the tournament. But much like this weekend, this is a Colombia team that improves as the tournament goes on. Here's Chastain looking for Picathley.
Picathley will go up, make the easy grab. Looked like she had an option for Bacher, who was cutting in, but Picathley wants to make sure, and then she misfires. I'm not sure if the defender got a hand on that. Rojas.
Picathley had a couple drops, a couple throwaways yesterday. The bid on the mark forced her to extend it out even further. I wouldn't call that totally unforced, but Picathley has a tendency, as we've seen the last 24 hours, to occasionally be a little casual out on the field.
Looking for Mascara, but that one's too far out in front. Not enough airlift on that. Turnover Revolution.
I mean, it's been an amazingly clean game so far. That's just the second turnover for Colombia.
Chastain, Picathley, they send Miner on a cut deep. Applegate working in the end zone. Chastain can't get it to her. Instead, they settle for Lauren Bacher. Bacher goes back to Chastain.
There was a collision downfield. Picathley. And it was Manuela Cardenas. And she pops up, looking for a handshake. Right-hand side of your screen. Ooh. Incidental contact as much as anything. Good to see her pop back up. And a foul was called on this throw.
Yep, on the throw by Bacher, some contact, and a foul called immediately.
In on one, in on one.
Contact with that left hand, so Bacher will come back in on one. First half, Denver down a point, 4-3. Applegated heavy traffic, and there's the bid, and giving up the body on the D by Colombia. You won't find a team here that gets down on the grass as much as Revolution.
Manuela Cardenas, she turned 18 just 9 days ago. She was just 17 when she was competing in Poland at the World Games. As a 17-year-old, she had the game-clinching grab on Universe around one of the best players in the world, Mark Lloyd, to beat Team Canada in a pool play game that was incredibly dramatic. This is a scary sight with Cousins in some pain.
Middle of the screen, right in front of the end zone as she tried to stay with the cut from Mascara. You see that right leg, the right knee in particular. She went down immediately in discomfort. Megan Cousins, a 60-year player, 25-year-old out of Louisville, Colorado.
Was there any contact?
No, it was just a cut. And it looked like the knee just gave out as she tried to keep up with the move by Mascara. As we take another look, again, right on the goal line.
Right side of your screen, she's guarding Mascara, and yeah, not any contact at all, and immediately lunging for that right knee. Megan Cousins has been such an important player for Molly Brown as they have ascended as a program. I mean, she's been around for 6 years now, and this is not a team that was competing to make it to championship games 4, 5, 6 years ago. I was thinking a few minutes ago just how cool it is for Women's Ultimate to have Colombia and Denver in the finals. Not San Francisco, not Seattle, not Boston, not DC. I don't think we've had a US Open final without 2 of those previous 4 cities over the past 5 years. This is 2 brand new programs, obviously one with international roots.
And when you look at Molly Brown and their progression, as we see Cousins get up on her feet, hope the best there for Megan Cousins. But when you look at Molly Brown this year, it's an early body of work compared to previous seasons. Where did you feel they had to make the most improvement? What area to take a step and compete with the Furies and the Riots and knock them off at the Nationals?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it is more mental than physical, I would say, because they've had talent, but it's about getting the big game reps and the big game experience that allows you to be clutch in the quarters, semis, finals. When it's 12 all in an elimination game, are you going to make a mistake or are you going to make the play? And this week, in every game, Molly Brown has made the plays late. I mean, the performance they gave down the stretch, Fury played a really fine game. And for most of the early stages of the second half, I honestly thought Fury was going to win. And Molly Brown played better down the stretch. Mascara throwing into a well-timed poach there from Megan Ives.
We've seen Mascara a little bit too aggressive on some of her throws. She's such a great athlete, ferocious defender, but sometimes she gets a little antsy. Rolls the die, and that time it backfired on the good play by Ives. Turnover deep inside the Molly Brown red zone, and now Ives has it go right through her fingertips and back to Revolution.
Bit of conservation of greatness, perhaps. That's the 5th turnover of the point. There were only 3 turnovers total from both teams in the first 7 points of this game.
Big arm of Mascara. You have to respect her strength. Gets it to Cartagena.
Yeah, that's the thing about Mascara. She has the throws. She has the rifle. It's just utilizing them with a little bit more wisdom in her decision making. Nice cut by Cartagena. got Paige Applegate a little off balance and then became open for the dump. And how about that break? Both the throw and the point, a break for Revolution. How about it? Megan Ives had the poach D, then the drop on the under. Cartagena shakes free of Applegate. And then looks like she wants something to the open side. Gets her mark. Applegate to bite on the backhand fake. And that's what opens the inside flick lane into the end zone. And a timeout taken by Molly Brown. That's another goal for Cardenas.
5th goal of the weekend, her first today, as 18-year-old makes an impact here in this first half. And a timeout by Denver Molly Brown. Do you like the use of timeout here?
Yeah, they needed it. They're on the ropes a little bit. I mean, 3 turnovers that point from their O-line. 2 straight scores for Mauricio Moore's team. I mean, that pivoting again from Cartagena. We talked yesterday about TEP, the big tournament in Medellin that brought down a lot of the top North American teams. Gina Cartagena reminded me of Alex Snyder. And I have no doubt that Alex Snyder has been involved in clinics in Colombia that Cartagena as a teenager attended and has watched the great throwers like Alex Snyder through the years. It's really cool to see them putting this together on this particular stage.
You look at the commitment to the sport of ultimate for Colombia. This success that they're enjoying is not a coincidence. They have put some resources toward making this program one of the best in the world to compete on a consistent basis year in, year out.
Yeah, there's no question. There's been big financial commitment. They've got grants from the government to help fund the creation of different clinics and lessons for the country. They've flown a bunch of the top Americans in. And it's been a great assimilation of cultures. Once again, Chastain starts downfield. I like that. I like that from Molly Brown.
Caithley, Chastain. They also have Sarah Pesh. This is Chastain. Up ahead safely to Caithley. She'll flick it toward the end zone, looking for Minor, and she has her 3rd goal of this first half.
I'll tell you, no matter how many times Lisa Caithley turns it over, she is going to remain undeterred in her desire to take the shot if she feels it's the right shot. Like a great 3-point shooter. You always feel like the next one is going in. And Liza Minor. Molly Brown did a nice job that point after a very little stagnation at the beginning of the point with the junk defense that Columbia threw. Minor able to punctuate it off the nice put from Caithley.
Iowa City, Iowa. Liza Minor, 5th different club, first year with Molly Brown.
Sean Kenny country.
That is Sean Kenny country. More like Liza Minor country. Nobody knows my name back there, but they're going to know Minor after this weekend.
That's
what
true.
A stretch of games. And would you say this is somewhat of a surprise? I mean, they knew what they were getting. A very reliable player can fill a lot of different roles, but to see her offensive production these last 2 games.
Yeah, I'm not sure Molly Brown is surprised, and I guarantee you the women of Madison, Wisconsin are not surprised because she has made plays like this for Heist for several years. Madison Heist just hasn't been on this type of stage that Minor stands on today.
Columbia goes back to work. The question becomes now, how does Molly Brown get a turnover here? Try to force a break opportunity. Revolution certainly in their groove. They had a couple of early mistakes, but they have found their traction midway through this first half. A pick call downfield, so we'll restart in the center with Torres. Torres across the way to Frye. Brown in that man-to-man look. The Marker is Johnston, Kirsten Johnson. Now they get it up along the sideline. This is Cartagena, and she works her magic again. That's been the side of the field. Revolution is just picked apart Molly Brown once they get to that red zone, and you have a young lady like Cartagena who can put the disc on a dime wherever she wants to, opens up a lot of avenues.
And it's 6-4 Colombia, and the Revolution O-line doesn't have a turnover at all. 3 turns so far from Colombia, all from the D-line. Ospina, quick movement, and it's Valeria Cardenas shaking free of Sarah Taggart in the end zone. You have to respect the patience of Revolution on that particular point. They didn't turn it over, but they didn't score quickly either. They waited their time. Elena Torres was critical in getting resets. They tired out Molly Brown's defensive cutters a little bit. And we talked about yesterday how Mauricio Moore has conditioned this team's composure. They've also conditioned their condition. I mean, they are in great shape.
Yeah, you look at their depth, it's certainly, as far as who they work and rotate into the game, it doesn't match the other teams that we've seen here. The United States teams, the Fury, the Riot, where they can run 2, 3 different waves, 3 different lines at you. Not the case with Colombia. They simply don't wear down. Mascara with the pull. This one will stay in bounds, picked up by Applegate, sets up the offense to Chastain. And that junk look D by Colombia. See how Molly Brown handles it. Chastain looking downfield. Low release, nice diving catch made by Bacher. Bacher will give a backhand a shot downfield, looking for Lori. Lori goes up and it's knocked away. The athletic Mascara came over that backside, able to get the D for Colombia.
And that's her strength. That is where she roams.
Somehow that soft tethered pass made its way to the intended target. Molly Brown kind of froze for an instance, did not react, but they'll get the disc. Mistake made there as they drop it. (6-4) first half of the women's final. Minor flicks up ahead. Bacher with a step, and she can't come down with it. Incomplete. Boy, that looked good all the way into the finish.
Bacher just doesn't have enough float to get there.
Bacher in her 3rd year, spent her rookie season with Root Squad, continues to develop and handle the pressure of handling at the top level. And for her long-range huck, she was trying to be the recipient of one there and came up just short. Mascara and Colombia back to work, leading 6-4 in this first half. Chastain on the mark defensively.
Mascara is like 50 yards downfield, and they're going to fire it up to her. Minor defending.
And Minor had clear position that time and shucks it to the turf.
But the point I was going to make, Mascara is basically just going in and out for about 40 yards away from the disc to 50 yards away from the disc, just continuing to run Minor back and forth. You don't typically see cuts made from that deep on the field.
Bacher waiting for a cut. Applegate comes to the disc.
And there was a poach. Minor was uncovered downfield.
Minor looking over her options, sends it toward the front. Chastain hauls it in, then Chastain uncorks it toward the corner for the score. Megan Ives and Molly Brown gets an all-important point. They trail 6-5.
Again, not the cleanest point for Molly Brown, but they do punch it in. Minor gets the D on the big huck to mascara. And Chastain, really quick release. Pretty good spacing from Molly Brown. Clearly they want to initiate Chastain from the front of the stack. She's kind of setting that stack, and then she has the luxury of taking charge and make that cut to get the disc if she wants it.
Good young talent there with Megan Ives. She'll be a member of the 2018 U24 Worlds team that traveled to Australia in January. Chastain with 16 assists this weekend. Both her and Applegate have had a terrific run here in Blaine.
You know, already this is a completely different game from the Friday morning pool play matchup between these two teams. Started 8:30 a.m. local time, which actually was 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time and 8:30 a.m. in Colombia. So theoretically, the Colombians weren't messed up by the time zone. They just came out slow. They fell behind 4-0. After Molly Brown took a 4-zip lead, Colombia won the rest of the game 12-11. But obviously the deficit was the difference.
Torres sends it over to Frye. Into the center to Ospina.
There's a pick. They were signaling a pick, and now apparently you're going to play on.
Contact downfield. Defensively, it was Elmore who ran over the backside of Ospina, excuse me. Foul called, easy call, and back to work goes Revolution. What type of team is going to have the most success at slowing down this quickness from Revolution offensively when they have the disc?
Japan. I mean, the Japanese women got a win against them because they're kind of similar, small, quick, shifty. You know, the top American teams obviously have taken advantage of the fact in the past that the Colombian women have made more errors than they have made lately.
How about the D by Jesse Schaffner as they get the
Here's the first
turnover
time in this game that the Molly Brown D-line has touched the disc. But to finish the point, Sean, the American teams are really struggling with the quickness. And unlike Japan, which doesn't have a ton of size, this Colombia team has pretty good size to go with the quickness and the athleticism. Jessie Schaffner could play in Japan or Colombia or anywhere.
She could play anywhere she wants. Jessie taking a deep breath. Exciting addition to this year's team, the 23-year-old.
Yeah, there's definitely intentionally or not, when you think of Japanese Ultimate, you think of kind of the style that Jessie plays with.
So you can send it back or if you're not sending it back, then you can come to us for a ruling. All right. Your ruling, it was not a pick. Staying there.
Temple, Quintos, Ford, and Tenney are observers for this one as they were brought in. On the restart, it will be Schaffner. And a chance for a break for Denver Molly Brown to knot this up. Schaffner had some great throws yesterday in the semifinal win, like she normally does. Gets it over to Devlin. Needles save along the sideline. Now we have another pick called away from the action.
Molly Brown currently trailing by 2 breaks.
Wait till they're set up. Check with your
But an
D,
opportunity
make
to
sure they're
get
good.
one of them back right here.
Defensive check on one. In on one! In on one! Let's
Torres will be on the mark. Now a shot to the end zone and a one-handed grab for the score. Carolyn Black hauls it in for Denver Molly Brown, and we are tied at 6.
You see Black saying that's one. The first of what will need to be many if they're going to come back and win this game. Really impressive throw by Taggart. Quick release, thrown with authority. but Vlack was there. One of the Molly Brown rookies. Michigan flywheel alum. Runs it down, and she has the look of a fierce defensive player who could be a difference maker for this team. You score, you celebrate, you get the break. Reaction not unlike what we saw from Greg Cohen in the men's final, getting a break for San Francisco. Can't say enough about the throw from Taggart either.
D-line stays out for Molly Brown. 6-6 late in this first half. Schaffner to pull. Boy, between Schaffner and Mascara, we're seeing two women who know how to uncork it. Really a mistake, but it's controlled for Colombia. Now they're going to take a shot deep downfield. Receiver out there, 50-50, and it's tipped away. Oh, what a play. Beautifully done by Schaffner, timing her elevation perfectly.
Absolutely awesome. I mean, Schaffner's timing is as good as anyone I've seen in the sport. And how about the hustle from Cartagena to get it right back.
Low release throw is chased down. And then into the end zone, a little bit too tall. Past the outstretched arm, incomplete.
If Valeria Cardenas made that catch, it would be on every highlight show around the world. Tremendous effort. What a fun point. You get Schaffner, the D, Cartagena, the D. Nice job by Ferrero keeping this in, and then she just rifled it. We'll show you the unsuccessful bid when we have a moment.
Sarah Taggart, pounded by Torres. Taggart still looking. Comes into the center. Pelletier, we haven't called her a lot here in this first half.
Well, she hadn't had many opportunities. I mean, she's playing defense. She got a bunch of breaks yesterday.
Chastain to the end zone. Incomplete. No sailed as she tried to hit McKeever in stride.
Valeria Cardenas so close in the end zone, and then when that throw left Chastain's hands, I thought it was good, but she just needed a little bit more outside in, a little bit more finesse to that toss.
These two teams might be gassed a little bit. These lines have been on the field for a while, and Colombia is going to use a timeout. First half stuck at 6 in the women's final. Colombia, for the most part, has led in this first half. It's been Molly Brown, a recent break, still down a break, tied at 6 apiece. Take a look at Pool A with Molly Brown going 5-0. Revolution and Brute Squad both 3-2. However, Revolution beat Brute Squad in pool play. Mud goes 2-3, and then you have Showdown and Traffic each at 1-4.
Revolution did not control their own destiny to make it to the semifinals heading into the final round of pool play. They needed to win over Showdown, and they needed Brute Squad to beat Mud. And with the way Brute Squad played throughout the first couple days, there was no confidence that the defending national champs were going to take care of business. They won a tight game against Mud. Japanese women played admirably, ran out of gas, and I think Brute Squad started to figure some things out in that game. But Mauricio Moore was watching the very end of it, realizing that Brute Squad needed a score for them to advance to the semifinals. It was, let's go Boston, let's go Boston. And then he mentally started to turn the page to the semis.
Ospina to Torres.
Remember, this is still an offensive point for Revolution. And while the score is tied, they're still up by a break.
Schaffner nearly had her hands on another D, another inch, and she would have. They swing it over. Cartagena. Cardenas. Back to Cartagena. Spina with it. Back to that patient approach by Revolution. I thought they lost some patience their last couple of series, but now working their offense. Frye cuts up ahead just in front of the defender Pelletier. Cartagena looking for that backhand, still looking. Chastain applying the heat as the marker. Flips it toward the end zone, couple of targets out there, and it's hauled in. Never panicked, did she? Kept the eyes upfield, and she found Cardenas again.
It is amazing to watch Cartagena's poise, vision, and decision-making. High stall count. She knew what her bailout option was. Not an easy throw, but she's capable of making it, and she executes it to perfection. Rocks Chastain back and forth multiple times before finding Valeria in the end zone.
Saw in that last shot, Maddie Frye pull back. She was stretching up as if she might try to grab it, but she knew Valeria was in the vicinity in her second goal of the day.
I gotta tell you, after this particular weekend, in discussing the top women's ultimate players in the world, Gina Cartagena is absolutely in the top 5, and she might be number 1. I mean, I'm trying to think of someone right now who's playing at a higher level than she is. And it's hard to think of anybody. I mean, maybe one of her teammates.
One of the twins would be right up there. So, I mean, when you look at the women's game, who would be your top 5 right now?
I think Sarah Griffith is absolutely in the conversation, but we saw the trouble she had staying with the quickness of the fastest Colombian women yesterday. I thought Georgia Boscher played great for the USA World Games team. I think Sandy Jorgensen is absolutely in the conversation just because it's kind of like she's in her own league. Like Jorgensen and Jacqueline Verjus are in their own division because they have just this dominant aspect of their game, their size. Oh, Manuela Cardenas, you gotta be kidding me. No, she didn't.
She did. And Keithley can't believe it either. Wow. They just continue to amaze you.
At 18 years old, she's in the conversation too.
Timeout. Manuela does it again. Giving up the body, getting the D, and a chance for Colombia to go into the intermission leading by 2. Just incredible. I mean, it's so much fun to watch their energy. You see the fun that they have on the sideline, their passion, and their athleticism. What a package.
Suppose athleticism makes you a good dancer. That
I would never know.
The cliche, Sean, is that, you know, a lot of people say, oh, this player gets tons of layout Ds. And maybe they get a couple a tournament. To get 1 or 2 or 3 consistently every game, like Manuela Cardenas seems to do, she's at a different level. It's an honor to be here watching it. It really is. I like that she wears the same jersey number that I wore in college.
Did you give up the body like that in your day?
I mean, I tried.
You
But
tried.
it wasn't as majestic as that. And then, unfortunately, perhaps some conservation of greatness, she throws it away out of the timeout.
Chastain back to work. A lot of contact there. Let's see if Picaithley calls anything. Does not look like she is. Mascara jumped in that lane. And the two teams exchange turnovers quickly. There's a big swing pass, beautifully done to Mascara. And Wella keeps it alive on the bid. Revolution trying to go into the halftime, leading by 2 if they can capitalize in the red zone. Again, we're just seeing bodies go down constantly now. The team's laying it out. 2 yards away, they dump it back. Looking for a series of cuts, and the D is made by Molly Brown and Lauren Bacher.
Yeah.
Terrific defensive stand there from the ladies from Denver.
Remember that play. If we're late in the second half, remember that D from Bacher.
Low release up ahead to Sarah Pesch. Southpaw to the center to Picaithley. She's going to take a shot deep downfield, looking for Lori. And Lori can't make the juggling catch. Tried to time it, nearly had it. The second go around after the initial touch.
Couple chances. And another frustrating giveaway.
To halftime, to Mascara. Beautifully done. Revolution at the break by 2. Toss it up, watch her run. Revolution smiling here at the intermission, leading 8-6.
They'd probably be smiling regardless of the score because that is their personality. But Manuela Cardenas, as if she hasn't shown off enough of her skills, drops the dime. I mean, an absolute dime ball to Elizabeth Mascara, who had her defender beat. And an easy clap catch in the back of the end zone. Have we mentioned that Manuela Cardenas just turned 18 years old 9 days ago?
So did her sister Valeria.
It's not fair. It's not fair. They're up by 2 scores, but they're receiving to start the second half. So they're up by 3 breaks. 2 breaks, I should say. But Molly Brown is in trouble. They are in trouble because they are not able, it seems, to get turns from the Revolution O-line. And in order to have any chance of the comeback, they're going to have to figure out some way to stop the Cardenas twins and Cartagena.
Well, here's some comments from Mauricio Moore when we return. Colombia here in the finals, leading by 2. Colombia putting on a show like they have all weekend here in Blaine, Minnesota. They lead at the intermission 8-6. Mauricio Moore joins us, all smiles here after the first half. Mauricio, your girls continue to have fun. Break down that first half. What was the biggest surprise to you so far dealing with Molly Brown?
Yeah, I mean, Molly is doing a really good job. They play really good defense. They are also playing a really good offense. It was hard at the beginning to try to make a break, but then we got it, and they recovered. We did it again, and I think it's really fair. I mean, the game is really fun. Girls are having a lot of fun, and I'm having fun. That's the main thing.
Hey, Mauricio, who taught your players how to lay out?
I think it's an instinct. They just got it. I mean, I don't lay out. I mean, they did it good, actually.
In the first half, I thought Cartagena showed some signs of Alex Snyder and her fakes and handling? Is she someone, and who have been the other influential Americans that have helped to develop Colombian Ultimate down in Medellin?
Yeah, the first person who went down there was Chastain. That was 2007. I love this guy. He brought maybe the best of the most important things in our Ultimate community, and we started building up things from there. And then a lot of guys came down like Ben Wiggins, Idaho, Miranda. I love Miranda, by the way. Everyone started to come down to Colombia to help out, and I think they learn a lot. They teach us a lot, and we learn a lot, and that's why we are growing up, and that's why we're here, like bringing back whatever you gave us. Now we're trying to give it to you.
It's a who's who of some of the greatest players ever that you have brought into Medellin. What will it take from a mental strength standpoint to close this thing out and get a gold medal?
Yeah, that was exactly what I'd say. I was not saying about like FM or nothing in terms of tactics. I was just saying, you know, this is the fight we came for. It's just a mental fight. We need to keep fighting inside of ourselves, like chasing that ego, keep going on, looking inside. I still working on my own thing, you know, because I just get stressed and sometimes I yell. Everyone is doing their thing, and I think that's why we're getting this result.
Mauricio, we're also very happy to see the hat is back today. You had us worried yesterday.
Yeah. I just brought it back, and you know, like it's energy. This hat is going around the world, and it's part of my image.
It's going around the world, and it's bringing home some medals, no doubt about it. Good luck in the second half.
Okay, thank you very much to you and all of you.
Mauricio Moore, Colombia Revolution, 8-6. They lead it at the break over Denver, Molly Brown. Plenty of highlights in the first half here of the women's final. Colombia on top of Denver by a score of 8-6. So Revolution with the 2-point lead here at the intermission. We just heard the weather horn just as we came back live here to Blaine. So that means we are going to go into our second weather delay of today's championships. We saw the half-hour delay earlier, right at halftime of the men's game, and now ironically almost like right on cue, halftime of the women's, and we will have a half-hour. It's a mandatory 30-minute delay.
I guess Mother Nature doesn't impact us during the first half or during the second half, but unfortunate that the second straight game gets interrupted at the half by the Lightning.
Colombia by 2 as the two teams will head indoors. We'll see what the weather brings to Blaine when we return right after this. And welcome back to Blaine, Minnesota. Halftime of the women's final. Colombia out in front of Denver, Molly Brown, 8-6. Certainly a sight Ultimate fans did not want to see on this championship Sunday. But heavy rain here in the Minnesota area. We had some lightning. So we are just getting close to wrapping up the mandatory 30-minute delay. And we are going to resume action at 5:25 local time with Molly Brown some work to do, trailing by 2. And it was Colombia, once again, Evan, that came out, asserted their will against this Molly Brown squad.
Well, the start of the game, both teams played great offense. There were no turnovers at all for the first 4 points. Liza Minor with the game's opening goal. And then Cartagena going up the line for Ferrero. Molly Brown would respond. Minor striking again. That tied it 3-3. But then Revolution really started to take over, and it was pinpoint puts from the Revolution handlers and some errors from Molly Brown that really turned the tide of the game. Jesse Schaffner made a couple spectacular plays, but the athleticism and quickness from Manuela Cardenas and the rest of Colombia has really overwhelmed Molly Brown. And you don't see American teams get overwhelmed athletically in Ultimate very often. But Mosquera all alone deep. They're up 8-6, and they're set to receive when we start the second half. And the good news, it is getting brighter and brighter by the second if you look up to the sky.
Both teams back onto the field. We are getting closer to the second half pole of this championship. Colombia leading by 2. For the second straight day, Liza Minor leading the Molly Brown offense with the 3 goals in the first half, but not enough as they trail 8-6. You see what Colombia has been able to do, in particular their playmaker, Gina Cartagena, with the 5 assists, just the playmaker of this well-oiled offensive machine.
It got a little sloppier as the first half progressed. Wasn't that long of a delay, but many of the Molly Brown players grew mustaches during the break. They have great facial hair growing abilities on this team. Lizzie Laurie, the spirit captain, probably one of the leaders of that stylistic choice, I would think. What do you think, Sean?
Well, if you can turn around, I want to, before I give a fair assessment, I got to see the full facial look, just not the side. Early indications are not bad, not bad. There we go.
Strong.
It's even, it's strong, it's thick. Yeah, I'd say first mustache, not bad.
Tom Selleck would approve.
A lot better than my spotty first mustache that came in, so yeah.
Revolution's getting ready to receive. And the story of the game has been Molly Brown's inability to prevent this Colombian offense from doing what they want to do.
We have had a steady, really, for about 20 minutes. It was a hard rain that fell in Minnesota. Thankfully, though, as we get set for the second half poll, it has lightened up considerably. How's the rain, how's the wet track impact the second half moving forward?
It's hard to tell from up here, obviously. These fields do drain incredibly well and pretty quickly. It took on a decent amount of rain in a short time, but I think the track is going to be okay. The question is, the disc is going to be a little wet, and that's going to be the adjustment in terms of taking care of the grip before they try to throw, especially when they try to throw a forehand.
It will be Colombia, the first up, to see how they handle the wet disc, leading by 2.
I think the most difficult aspect of this is just trying to rediscover the intensity that you had in the first half for both teams.
Cartagena looking for her 6th assist of the game. It's not going to quite get in. They're going to be right on the doorstep. Ferrero patiently looking. Gets it over to Cardenas. She'll go across the field for the score. Beautifully done again. A big smile. Gina Cartagena.
No, she didn't just throw a scuba on the goal line. Maybe you thought she had the flick, she had the backhand, she didn't have. No, she's got the scuba too. That was ridiculous. Exactly what Mauricio Moore wanted to see. Disregarding the elements with smart offense and a perfect put. Cartagena, the recipient of that Valeria Cardenas scuba. Hard to believe that's just her first assist of the game. She had a bunch of them yesterday, and she has been very involved in everything.
A hold after the 30-minute delay as Colombia goes up by 3. And now let's see what the offensive line can do for Denver Molly Brown. Paige Applegate, Lizzie Laurie, McCaffrey, Chastain, one of the main weapons, waiting to receive this pull. Elizabeth Mosquera.
Just starting to think that this Medellin team is impervious to their surroundings, to the pressure, to any expectations.
Chastain recognizing the defense, trying to locate her weapon. She shoots a pass up ahead to McCaffrey.
That was nice.
McCaffrey back into the center to Minor. Minor will dump it back over to Paige Applegate. He has Chastain running the drag across the field. Does not go that way. Instead, sends it over to Becaithley. Becaithley, cross-field backhand, and it finds the mark. Beautiful touch. Minor with her 4th goal, and both teams hold after the rain delay.
Well, Chastain got the disc moving. Just great vision on that throw, knowing the pocket would be there against the zone. And pretty good patience near the goal line. Thought Becaithley could have forced it up line right here to Chastain. Thought she could have gone to Applegate here as well, but chose to go to the break side. And an acrobatic bid. But Minor able to make the catch. Just like the first half began, back-to-back turnover-free points from these two teams.
3rd assist today for Becaithley. She's been a star the past 7 years, burst onto the scene with that strong Nationals performance in 2010 with the Polar Bears winning the title.
Yeah, she was really good in the mixed division.
See, Santa Barbara product. Always wanted to be a burning skirt since her dad went there, and her best friend wanted to be a member of that university since 4th grade. Able to go through, have a great career there, and has continued that here at the club level. Not just with Molly Brown, but as Evan mentioned, Polar Bears.
And San Francisco Fury in between those.
Played women's for Fury. 9-7 Colombia with the 2-point lead and with the disc.
I think her first year with Fury was 2013. My first time seeing her with Fury was at the 2013 US Open, and she was perhaps their MVP that weekend.
Downfield on a dime, bingo, Colombia strikes again. It is scary how precise this offense is.
Well, this is Valeria Cardenas' game, and it's tough to tell. How did Cartagena get so wide open? It's a throw through the rain. It's not a monsoon by any means, but you would think that Molly Brown would want to guard number 20. It's hard though, because Cardenas, along with Cartagena, are just killing Molly Brown with the unders. So you think, okay, we got to put more pressure on them, and they're proving they can open it up deep. I mean, 3 goals, 5 assists. She's been involved in 8 of this team's 10 goals. Not some preliminary pool play game, in the championship match.
Back-to-back assist for Valeria. Now it's Denver Molly Brown back to work offensively.
Observers are halting this here.
Not sure what this is about.
No hand.
Yeah, Molly Brown did not give a hand to signal readiness. So we'll do it again.
See that rain picking up once again as well. Starting to fall with more intensity here in Blaine as we wind down the Sunday afternoon, move into the Sunday evening portion. 1 championship to go, and that's the mixed finals tonight. Seattle and Minneapolis for the title. Paige Applegate. And against 3 defenders, sends it over to Chastain. Right back to Applegate. Chastain cut to the disc, little give and go action. Applegate, low release, finds Minor in the hole. Minor up ahead safely to Becaithley. She'll put the soft touch on the backhand and the bid and the dive and the layout. And Molly Brown strikes with Lizzie Laurie.
Clutch grab from Laurie, and Molly B needed it. Applegate and Chastain got everything started with a quick disc movement against the zone. Applegate had a nice shot through the heart of the cup right there. And then Minor and Becaithley and Laurie do the rest. Nice defense from Molly Brown, forcing that over-the-top throw, making it more difficult, but Lori's up to the task.
Lori grew up around the sport, a family affair with the Lori family. Her father played at Williams. She watched him play club masters, grandmasters, her 2 brothers, big players in the sport of ultimate.
Asked Lizzie yesterday why she wears number 42. Of course, her brother Ben also wears number 42. And she said that the original number 42 is their dad, Phil, who played in Germany on a team called the 42s, which apparently it's the ultimate solution to the galaxy and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is not a publication I have perused much myself, but I might now because I want to learn more about the number 42.
Yeah, you caught my curiosity with that story last night. We were both Googling and searching.
Lizzie said that when they played together, Lizzie and Ben stole number 42 from her.
Colombia trying to go 3 for 3 on offensive possessions in this second half, leading by 2 in this championship, the women's division. Sakai has captured the first crown in the men's earlier today, knocking off Revolver.
Chastain's taking the Cartagena matchup right now. We'll see if she can slow her down at all.
Low throw, saved. Striking distance again here for Colombia. Looking at that four-side, just holding still, now going toward the end zone, cutting across, right to left, another one for Revolution. Laria hauls it in. She has a couple of assists here in the second half. Now she gets the goal on the receiving end, 11-8.
The last 3 scores for Revolution have been either Valeria Cardenas to Gina Cartagena or the reverse. This is Cartagena to Valeria. The quickness of their moving on the resets combined with their decision making is making them utterly lethal. And so far today, there hasn't been much that Claire Chastain or Jessie Schaffner or Sally Lambert or anyone on the Molly Brown defense can really do to stop it.
Look at the numbers put up today by Cartagena. 3 goals, 6 assists, 38 assists this weekend. Just think about that, process that number a little bit, what she has done for this offense for Colombia. Incredible.
But to say that she's put the team on her back would disrespect the effort that she's gotten from the Cardenas twins and Laura Ospina and Maria Angelica Ferrero, and I mean you could keep going. Maddie Frye was their leading goal scorer throughout pool play. You can tell Molly Brown feels like it's desperation time with Chastain being out there so frequently.
Caithley with 3 cutters downfield. She settles in on Minor.
And you know something, Sean? Just hit me, but this is the type of game where Molly Brown might miss Opie Payne a little bit. Because she's someone who defensively would have as good of a chance as anybody against the Cardenas twins and Gina Cartagena.
Chastain on the reset, hoping for a cut. Applegate, and what a layout and grab with the left hand. Beecher holds it in. An emotional response from Lauren Beecher, the 3rd-year player for Denver Molly Brown. What a snag.
The 6th straight turnover-free point culminates in this spectacular bid from Beecher. Applegate doesn't make this easy for her. She was certainly open, but full extension. Justifiably fired up, trying to ignite something in this team to allow them to get a stop. How about this? We had the 40 minute weather delay, still drizzling a little bit. No drops, no throwaways since we resumed play.
Efficient offense in this second half, and as you mentioned, somehow, some way, Molly Brown, if they're to get back into it, must find a way to stop those 7 ladies from Colombia. Defensive line out there for Denver, Molly Brown. It's going to be Schaffner with the pull. Colombia set up their offense so quickly before Molly Brown can get their defensive set.
They don't waste their movements. They play with a purpose in every little thing. And that's, again, a tribute to the coaching staff, Mauricio Moore, Camilo Buitrago, and Santiago Montaño. Thought it was cool getting the rundown from Mauricio before the weather delay about some of the first players from the U.S., players and coaches, to come to Colombia and help create this monster.
And it is a monster. 2 passes downfield, and boom, just like that, another one for Revolution.
They're just in the zone. It's a wonderful thing unless you're the opponent. I mean, Jessie Schaffner is no slouch of a defender, and she did not have a chance. Forero showing off the throw. You can see the look of defeat in the eyes of this Molly Brown defense as over and over again, Colombia just slicing and dicing to the end zone. 12 goals in the game for Revolution. She's been involved in 10 of them.
Mauricio Moore has told us time and time again, this 2017 year is all about build-up. It's all about collecting as many medals as you can, but in anticipation of making a serious run at the gold in the Worlds in 2018. This might be the most difficult question you get from me all day. If you look at this Colombia team, where is there maybe a weakness? Where is an area that, as you analyze their game, that they're going to have to clean up maybe even at the next stage to build upon when they put what seems like a flawless performance together here in Blaine?
Before this weekend, I would have talked about perhaps their lack of depth, maybe their lack of composure, but so far so good. That's an important quick hold which allows the Molly BD to get back out there. Lizzie Lurie again, her second goal since growing a mustache at halftime.
Caithley with the assist. A shootout here in the second half, but again, that doesn't do much for Molly Brown.
It's hard to pick out a weakness from them right now.
Yeah, that's what
We'll see if they have the mental fortitude to close it out. 8 straight points without a turnover. Fans have gradually filed back in after the weather delay. They mostly had to go to their cars or go inside of a building.
What a sight this weekend here in Blaine, Minnesota. Over 3,000 strong in the ultimate community, just not watching the elite, but also the youth. And their tournaments, they're going to be wrapping up tomorrow. Fans, players coming together. A neat moment yesterday. I was on the sideline. It was actually the opening day on Friday, and about 6 youth players from Minneapolis were watching this Molly Brown team play, Claire Chastain, and one of the young girls, unbeknownst that I was listening, just mentioned, I wonder if Claire knows how many players here look up to her. That was her direct comment, and you see the power that these professional women have with the young and how this sport continues to blossom and grow.
Yeah, I think Claire does and she doesn't.
Ooh, first turnover of this second half. That time, Cardenas unable to pull it in. All right, a little bit of an opening. Let's see if Molly Brown can exploit it, can take advantage.
Again, that would have been unbelievable, and I'm a little surprised she didn't make the grab. But you're right, Sean, this is really critical for Molly Brown. And they have several breaks to make up. They've got the disc in their hands.
See what the D-line can do for Denver Molly Brown. Sarah Taggart. Lambert searches. Looks in the middle for Mickle. Mickle looking toward that force side. Dangerous throw, some contact. It's knocked away. And a foul will be called. That time jumping in was Ospina, just a split second late as the two begin their discussion.
Looks like we have a foul called. Uncontested, it appears. The disc will stay with Molly Brown.
Contact premature, uncontested call, so it stays with Molly Brown.
Jesse Schaffner may have the toughest matchup here because I believe Manuela Cardenas is on her, but I want to see Schaffner take charge here for Molly Brown. I mean, this is her territory.
All right, wait for me.
You could tell she was a little eager
just
to make
wait for me
that
for them to
cut.
get set.
Violation was called.
Everybody set? Okay.
On the mark.
Schaffner working hard, trying to come back to the disc. They do not go to her. Instead, they send it up along the near sideline, going up high, making the grab is Taggart. Inside the red zone from Molly Brown, trying to get the first break of this second half.
What marks from Colombia?
Taggart skies it. Mickle in the neighborhood, and it's knocked away on the D. But Mickle sticks the arm up. And now it looks like she might have changed her mind and is not going to make a call. Initially, she was going to, and then she changed it. As we take a second look.
The marks forced this floaty crossfield prayer, and Manuela Cardenas going up first and going up biggest. She is the boss.
Looks like we may have a call back at the throw.
Conversation in the area of the throw.
Perhaps this is going to...
Turnover? Okay, there.
They were ruling a stall, but this will stay with Revolution.
All right. We have a contested stall, but it's a turnover anyway, so it's staying there.
Just cover
Still
that.
turnover.
Do you like that choice of throw in that big moment, trying to get the break?
Well, I think it was a byproduct of the great marks that both Ospina and Torres put on a couple different throwers, because you can tell Schaffner wanted the disc. I mean, this is her moment, and she just couldn't get it because of the excellent defense. Stall count was rising. Torres had no choice but to float it up there. Taggart had no choice. And all things considered, they had a 50-50 shot, but when Cardenas is playing free safety, good luck.
You good there, Aiden? Okay.
Ospina waiting to get play resumed for Revolution. 12-10.
Your ground check?
Second half that saw both teams start with 8 straight possessions resulting in points. We've seen back-to-back turnovers, and now Colombia back on the offensive in this second half. You hear the horn of the soft cap.
Add 2 to the higher team's score after this point concludes.
Torres, 38-year-old, been with this program the past 12 years. Patient a look, they dump it back. Cartagena for that quick give and go. Instead, they settle it back over. Side break opportunity, contact and a collision, but maintaining control of the disc right in front of the goal line again.
Not sure how Ospina held on to that.
Barreled into, yet able to show the concentration and strength to hang on, and now a call away from the action.
Elmore's getting a card here.
There it comes. Blue card issued. Victoria Elmore, first-year player, 25-year-old. James Madison, the TMF, assessed against the team. Deliberate fouling, dangerous play would be where that would be warranted. So we'll come in on 6. Black with the mark.
Would it surprise you if Cartagena picked up another assist here?
Not at all.
Take the timeout. You know, we've seen incredible individual performances in single games like this. I mean, well, check this out first.
Yeah, Mickle's feeling pretty good there. She probably thinks she has that, and then all of a sudden, right over the top, without invading that space, you see the athleticism, more importantly, the ups.
It's a total package.
What's the biggest difference? You had a chance to ask Mauricio more that between the twins. When you break down their game, what did he specify as far as strengths and how they differ?
Yeah, I'm not sure either one has a weakness at this point. Perhaps lack of experience, although they've each been playing more than a decade and they're only 18 years old. But Valeria is much more of a handler. Some great breaks. Mauricio said some of the best breaks I've ever seen. While Manuela is much more downfield cutter. We've seen she has the throws too. She's launched several beautiful hucks. And then there's Cartagena, who, like the twins, the total package. And she has meant so much to Manuela and Valeria as a mentor over the past half decade through their teenage years, on and off the field.
Elevator up, right on cue. Top floor it is, and a goal for Colombia.
You see, Cartagena wasn't even looking Manuela Cardenas' way, and that's just great strategy from the offensive line and Mauricio Moore and the Colombian coaching staff. And they've been trained. They pull the mark over by the decoy to the right, and then just a wide open look, and the downfield defense didn't have any chance to make that play. You're counting on a mistake. And as we're learning gradually, this team is not making very many mistakes at all.
When you look at international success at this particular championship, the U.S. Open Championship, Ellipsis made that impressive run 2 years ago in Cincinnati, winning the mixed division. We've seen what Revolution is doing here in 2017. In your opinion, what's been more impressive? Which of those two runs?
It's a good question. It's a fair question. And with all due respect to Ellipsis, what these Colombian women are doing against the best women's teams in the world, Brute Squad, Riot, and Molly Brown. The mixed division, yes, there are great teams, but it was earlier in the season. It was a month earlier 2 years ago, and there was some inefficiencies that could be exploited. Plus, that was some of the best Australian players in the world with great experience. That was crazy impressive. I'm not trying to diminish them at all, but the jaw-dropping athleticism and composure that we're seeing, the combination of those two things, I think even surpasses what we saw from Ellipsis 2 years ago with Kat Phillips and Tom Chulit, Brandon Ashcroft, Mike Neild. This is a different monster.
Square out on the mark with Pacathley. They come over to Chastain. Claire Chastain. Down three. What a catch. Beautiful extension by Applegate. She used all of her frame and then some. Going horizontal to save that. Beautiful look.
It's been a great couple of days for Paige Applegate. No question. Her stock has risen a great deal this weekend.
Applegate waiting for a series of cuts. Darts a bullet into the front of the end zone for the score. Bacher has another.
Wow. I mean, that's as good as it gets. She was completely parallel to the ground. I didn't think she was going to get there.
No, not at all.
Bacher with her second goal of the half. But obviously the play of the point was Applegate. When Chastain releases this throw, it's a very difficult put because she's trying to get it past the defense quickly enough. Wow. That's trust. You don't see highlights that aren't goals make the SportsCenter top 10 very often. But that's as good of a grab as we've seen. I mean, that play right there should be a top 10 nominee.
Applegate in her 5th year, Fort Collins, Colorado. Denver, Molly Brown down 2. Columbia back to work. Torres on the backhand. Chastain on the mark. They're going to pick his call. Devlin taps it in as Ospina gets it started again for Colombia. Cartagena, plenty of room to look. Chastain backing off, looking for a possible poach. Now a flare into the front and a score for Colombia. Valeria hauls it in, 14-11, Revolution.
Absolute precision. It just continues. And at some point, you know, Molly Brown is a group of competitors. They expect to win every time they take the field. And they're not going to give in. But certainly in the back of their minds, they have to be thinking as if you're playing Roger Federer or Serena Williams. Too good.
And it's probably that same mindset, that same line of thinking, that reality setting in that Riot probably experienced yesterday.
Absolutely. And that Brute Squad experienced on Friday.
During pool play.
This has been a much cleaner game than the Brute Squad game was. That was a sloppy back and forth bunch of turnovers in that game from both teams. But this game, I mean, this second half, each team only has one turnover in the second half. And Molly Brown's offense has been good. Between Chastain and Bacher and Applegate, Caifley, Minor, Laurie, they've done the job. And it's hard to really put too much blame on the Molly Brown D-line because someone is going to have to concoct something new to try to throw off this Colombian offense.
Applegate sends it over to the southpaw Pesh. Chastain jumps midfield. She'll launch a huck to Caifley and Mascara, and it's Caifley coming down with it. We were talking about how those two players are so similar in what they do for each other's team. They get squared up 1-on-1, and it's Caifley on the beautiful look and feed by Chastain.
Saw Mascara gaining on her. One more stride and she would have caught up. But it was a gorgeous backhand from Chastain. And to your point before, I don't think Claire fully realizes the role model that she is. I think she still gets nervous around Georgia Boscher and Miranda Roth and Gwen Ambler and the women like that who have shaped this sport for a long time. but she absolutely is in that club in terms of women that are leaders in this sport, that have the game, that are looked up to by the YCC generation. Colombia now receiving and trying to put this away.
Maybe really, Evan, when you look at it for the first time, the effects of a wet disc possibly there on the pull. It slips out of bounds, and it's going to be a very short porch to work for Colombia as they look to seal the championship here in the women's final. Colombia 20 yards away as they look for the championship point. Just missing on the D was Taggart. They quickly rotate it left side. Back into the hands of Torres, the veteran of this squad. What must be going through her mind, her stomach, as she tastes the possibility of a championship. Alongside Evan Lepler, Sean Kinney, welcoming you to Blaine, Minnesota. We're at the United States Sports Center, the National Sports Center. Championship coverage of the U.S. Open, the women's final. Denver, Molly Brown in the white, trailing by 2 as they look for the break here late in this game, but the D as it goes off the fingertips of Elmore. And let's see if a call will be made. Colombia has stolen the hearts of a lot of Ultimate fans the past 3 days, trying to cap off the championship in the first leg of the USA Ultimate Triple Crown Tour.
And the only leg of USA Ultimate's Triple Crown Tour that includes international teams.
We are behind schedule here in Blaine, Minnesota because of 2 30-minute rain delays, lightning delays. One during the men's final, one recently during this women's game. The mixed final will be coming up shortly, about 15 minutes after the conclusion of this one.
So, when the foul occurred.
Ultimate, a self-officiated game. The observers involved in the orange to solve disputes and mediate these situations. This Columbia Revolution team in pink had a chance to close it out on the goal line. They've led virtually the entire way, and that's the first time they've been broken in the second half, and the pressure mounts. This women's team from Medellin, Colombia, has already knocked off the 2-time defending champs in pool play, Boston Brute Squad. They beat Seattle Riot in the semifinals yesterday, 15-10. Denver Molly Brown not going down quite yet. Claire Chastain trying to create some organization. And it's Victoria Elmore that goes up for the goal.
All-important defensive line as Elmore gets her first goal of the day, and now Molly Brown talking strategy as they look to get a stop. And can they force another break opportunity and delay the celebration for Colombia? Some of the fans here, 3,000 plus Ultimate fans here in Blaine. We take a look at that defensive line. Devlin, see Black. It's going to be Mickle on the pull, Maggie Chin. And there's that high-powered offense, lightning-quick attack from Colombia.
Gina Cartagena has been the star, involved in almost every goal, either throwing it or catching it. And we haven't seen this curveball yet from Molly Brown. They used it successfully in the semifinals against San Francisco Fury, intentionally rolling the pull out of bounds, forcing Revolution to begin from the sideline. And like every curveball that's been thrown at these women from Medellin, they've handled it like pros. That's Cartagena. This is Ospina, and this could be for the game.
Into the end zone. Colombia has done it. You thought they were dancing earlier. Wait till you see this post-game celebration dance. Revolution. And the international flair, and let the party begin.
Remember this day, Sunday, August the 6th, 2017, a landmark moment for not just Colombia Revolution, but for the entire international world of Ultimate. This will be remembered, Sean Kenny.
For the first time, Colombia is your 2017 U.S. Open Women's Ultimate Champions.
The U.S. Open Ultimate Championships are presented by Discraft Ultrastar. Find the official disc of USA Ultimate at more than 1,900 U.S. retail locations.
It's been quite a stretch for Colombia Revolution. They succeed in the Worlds, come away with a silver medal, and now here with the women's team, they take home the gold from the U.S. Open Ultimate Championships. Welcome back to Blaine. 15-13 Colombia. Mauricio Moore joins us. And Mauricio, nothing could stop you these 3 days in Minneapolis. You go through Brute Squad, you knock off Wright, you take care of a red-hot Molly Brown team. The weather cannot even slow you down. What a feeling this must be.
Okay, this is fantastic. You know, we knew the sun would be there. We knew the rain would be there. We come with it. They just help us. And that's a fantastic tournament. It's a fantastic public. It's been a perfect moment, and we're so happy.
Mauricio, congratulations. This team has had a goal to build toward the World Championships in Cincinnati in 2018. Are you ahead of schedule?
Yeah, I mean, that's our first step on the schedule, but more than that, we're gonna come for Worlds, but more than that, it's just what we're doing with each person, like what we're building inside of each person, you know? It's more than a game, you know? The game is gonna end sometime, and it's what you get for your life, what you build on inside yourself in this kind of things, you know, like family, brotherhood, and as I told you, chasing your ego.
We just saw Gina Cartagena get a gold medal around her neck.
Right.
She was involved in almost every score today, regardless of who Molly Brown threw at her. Some of the best defenders in the world, like Jessie Schaffner and Claire Chastain. How did Gina do it?
I think the most important thing that Gina has is she trusts a lot. She trusts me, she trusts Aleja, she trusts the whole team, and she's always giving her best. And I think it's just about trust. And I feel really glad that she trusts me as the coach. And I'm really happy because she did a really, really incredible tournament here at World Games. And for sure, she had a lot of good tournaments in the future.
It's going to be 3 days I know that you are always going to remember here in Blaine, Minnesota. Mauricio, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's true. It has been perfect for us, and we're going to remember as a first step of a big thing.
We'll see you in Cincinnati.
For sure.
Plenty of different options to choose from, but it is time now for the Discraft Play of the Game, brought to you by Discraft.
Well, this leap from Manuela Cardenas, just one of many jaw-dropping plays and displays of athleticism from the 18-year-old phenom.
Revolution, your women's champion, knocking off Denver Molly Brown 15-13 as the women's bracket is complete. That's going to wrap up our coverage on ESPN 3 for our viewers on E3. Want to remind our ESPN 2 audience, we're coming back. More Ultimate. It's the championship of the mixed finals, Seattle and Minneapolis. For Evan Lepler, I'm Sean Kinney saying so long from the National Sports Center. All games airing on the network are streaming live on the ESPN app, or to watch the entire game, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app.